One of the duties of a colonial housewife was to provide for the lighting in her home. The most expensive and the most difficult to procure is the beeswax candles that women would make. Well, first of all, beeswax is something that not all housewives would have had access to. But if you were lucky enough to have a hive and produce enough beeswax to make candles, you might make candles using a candle mold like this. Or you could simply take the wicking that you can see here and hang it from a series of wooden strips that you would then dip into a pot. Would be covered, each dip into the pot, this wicking would get covered with a layer of wax, and eventually the candle would end up looking something like this. Now this is a beeswax candle that was made in a mold. We can tell that by the mold markings that you can see on it. However, dipped candles wouldn't look terribly different from this. Now, most housewives probably didn't make beeswax candles, especially in sort of ordinary households, or if they did, they were kept for very special occasions. Instead, in the Champlain Valley especially, one of the alternatives is making candles from a bayberry. Now, interestingly enough, bayberries, when boiled, will exude a kind of wax, and that wax, skimmed off the top, could then be heated again and made into candles. And it looked very similar to beeswax, but when it burned, it had a particular scent. Now, some people love that scent, other people didn't. And so it depended on the household as to whether or not beeswax candles were made instead of or in addition to the beeswax candles. Now, a third way in which candles could be made is through using the rendered fat, especially pork fat. And again, in the process of rendering a hog, there's a whole variety of different things that had to be done. Butchering is just the first phase, right? And as the hog is being cut up into different things, the fat itself is being boiled down, rendered, as the word that they would have used, and some of that fat would be made into candles. And again, especially in households that weren't particularly well off, that was likely to be their only light source. Candles made from animal fat smoked more, didn't smell as good, and were clearly the lighting of the poor, if you will. But it was a utility that often saved and provided light in the months when it was darkest.